podcast for the best and worst historical fiction has to offer. I'm your host, Grace.
And I'm Erin, and last season we read some notable historical fiction, YA, and children's books. And then for our bonus episodes, last week we presented you with a movie version of one, and this week we're back with the movie version of another. And Grace, could you share what that is?
This week, it's the movie version of Between Shades of Grey called Ashes in the Snow.
Yes, and if you remember from my overall book ranking and my season 3 ones, this was my top book of season 3.
Yes, this was a top tier. Ruta Sepetys, the author, famously friend of the pod.
Mm-hmm.
So I honestly did not know what to expect going into this movie, so I was excited to watch it. I do remember when the trailer came out, but I did not read the book back in the day, so I never saw the movie.
I did read the book, and I had no idea there was a movie until you mentioned it, probably while we were recording.
I think something about it, I have no idea, frankly, we could look it up, if it was released around the same time as The Book Thief, but in my head, I have it in the same category as The Book Thief movie.
Because
the girls look alike.
The girls have the same eye, or similar eye, like the big eyes.
They have really big eyes and they're blonde.
As I mentioned to you while we were watching, the girl from America's Next Top Model with the big eyes.
Allison.
Exactly. That's who they all remind me
of. Who was
of.
robbed twice.
Yes.
Anyway, Ashes in the Snow.
Okay, let's get into it. This one, and we said last week we're not going to compare it to Catherine Called Birdie, and we're definitely not. However, I'm about to make a comparison. This book, the ending also differed dramatically from the book.
Yes.
Yeah, I would say more so than Catherine Called Birdie.
Yes. And also, I feel like Catherine Called Birdie was pretty faithful to a fault in terms of the plot. In this, I think it wasn't unfaithful to the plot per se, but I think it took a broader overview. Like there were some things that kind of were glossed over in in service of moving the story forward.
And I do understand that from a movie stand. I understand why they changed the ending and why they gloss over things, because the book is over such a broad time period.
Yeah.
And they just kind of have to keep it moving for the movie. And same for the ending. They couldn't really capture the ending of the book as effectively in the movie format.
Yes. I'll say up front, I think that the book is great and the movie is good.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. There's a lot to discuss here. So do you have a thing that you want to dive into first?
Actually, yes. Because let's keep it light and airy at the beginning.
Okay. Again,
much like Catherine Called Birdie, this had an interesting cast. And
it did.
Two very notable ones to me that I have in my notes. Andreas is the prince from The New Little Mermaid.
Yes. Okay. I had not actually watched The New Little Mermaid.
Oh, it was good.
So, but I kept looking at him and being like, I know factually that man isn't Jacob Elordi. However, he damn well looks like him.
Yeah.
So I kept thinking that. But yeah, so good for him. He was the new Prince Eric.
And then Kratsky, who was the Soviet prison guard.
Yes.
He is in Mr. Robot, which Ashley Santiago caught. He's in Mr. Robot, which we had watched together probably like a year or two ago at this point. And he is, I forget the character. He's like the evil CEO guy. I forget so much of that show, but
he specializes in playing evil.
Exactly. But it's such a good show. Anyways, watch Mr. Robot.
Okay. Also, real quick before we move on, there was one other instance, and I can't remember the actor's name. He's not famous. It's not that important. Where there's a guy who plays one of the Soviet guards. And he has like one line. He's not an important character. He's just in like one scene. But for whatever reason, I was like, that guy looks really familiar. Let me hop on IMDb and see if I know who he is. But it turns out this guy has like probably, I don't know, 30 film roles. All of them are Russian or Soviet military guards.
That is insane.
All of them. Like that man is like,
Typecasting.
I know what I am capable of. So I just wanted to say shout out to him for getting a role in this film, doing what he loves.
And there was another interesting call out. This might have been you who said it or Diana. And it's not about the casting, but just that the actress who plays the mom looks like that picture of the woman in the Great Depression.
That was Diana. I won't take credit for that.
And
the migrant mother.
Yes, migrant mother looks just like her.
She does look exactly like that. So if that helps you picture it,
yes.
You go.
Now that we've set the scene for the movie, the actress who played Lena was very good, barely given any lines.
I was going to say, it hits you when you're getting through the film. She doesn't talk. There are so many scenes that she is present in where she is like the main character of the scene, or at least one of the ones the camera is on the most. She doesn't talk.
And
she emotes with her big eyes and she doesn't speak.
And it's so funny because on the like synopsis for the movie on Letterboxd, like in all capital letters, it says, "One girl's voice breaks the silence of history." She in the book, yeah.
But she doesn't say anything.
Not at all.
You remarked during the movie, the main character is completely different. Because in the movie, even though they still frame Lena as the main character, in essence, it's the mom.
Yeah, pretty much it's the mom.
All of the talking, the mom has all of that. In the book, her relationship with Kretsky, you kind of find out about it later, but you're seeing that weird relationship form in real time in the film, even when Lena isn't present.
Kretsky was also a much bigger character in the movie.
He was a way bigger character, and I would argue that his arc was super different.
Yeah. Let's talk about, because this will take us into some of the changes in the ending and all of that.
Yeah, and that was the biggest change, to be honest. I feel like, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but my interpretation of it, and this is very simplistic, because he is certainly, like we talked about the title, he is one of the shades of gray. So he's a very complex character. But in the book, I feel like he starts out irredeemably evil. Yeah. Like, terrible person, doing these terrible things. And then you find out through the mom that he has a gentler side to him, that he's not completely irredeemable. Yeah. That he has the capability to be kind. In the movie, I feel like he starts out, they make a big point of saying that he doesn't want to be there, that he's conscripted, that he has to prove himself because he's half Ukrainian. And he gets beaten down and turned into a monster.
So it's almost reverse.
Yeah.
But then they kind of try to bring him back at the end.
By what he does in the end.
Yes.
Which is the change from
and let's get into that. And on the way there, we'll also talk about some more horrible stuff he does, which is a sexual assault scene of the mother, which was rough.
And I didn't
get the impression that happened in the book.
No, I do think, not to put too fine a point on it, I feel like in the book, if the mother had expressed willingness, he would have been happy with that. Yeah. But he was not going to force.
No, I did not get that impression in the book. But in the movie, it was very explicit. Very, on screen. And then he threatened to, like, assault Lena as well. So that was rough. And then getting into the ending, when they're in Siberia, like the Arctic Circle, on the water, or polar night, all of that. And right after the mom dies, Lena goes and she has like this passage, and this was some of her most speaking in the entire thing.
Oh yeah.
She has this passage memorized in Russian of basically the Lithuanians' demands of,
we need food, we need blankets, we need heat, we need medicine.
Kretsky takes that, and instead of giving that to, the Lithuanians, he writes a note freeing Lena and her brother Jonas, and then kills himself.
And then they go home.
So in the book, they're there for like another 10 years, I think is what we determined.
Yeah, and we don't get more details about, because presumably the other Lithuanians don't go home.
No, they're still there.
And they're there for the 10 years. But because Lena and her brother go home, we do get end cards that say, like, after this many years, the Lithuanians return to their home country, and they never discuss.
And we had some of that at the beginning as well, setting up the scene.
Yes, but you don't. The end shot of the film is Lena and her brother wearing the clothes that they left their house with when they were first raided in Lithuania, coming up over the hill to see the boat coming in to take them home.
Yes.
Which is powerful, but not I think one of the strongest things about the book was just the risk that the author took with the devastation when you turn the page and you realize they had 10 years left.
Yeah.
After their mother died and they had 10 years left.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that lost a lot of power in the movie. But I also understand that video is a very different format for storytelling.
Yeah, and we talked about this with Catherine Colberti. Yeah. We said we shouldn't have brought up the comparison. Like, I shouldn't have said that at all, because here we are doing it.
I know, right?
But just like as two different art forms, the ending wouldn't have filmed well from the book.
And I think it's the same thing here. I think they could have done it with some like title cards on the screen about what happened to the characters, or maybe even flash forward to having those people in their yard finding some of the notes and all of that.
you can't really have an ending where you position Lena as like giving a speech to rouse her people before like being like, we'll get through this, like, because she doesn't talk. Mm-hmm. And you're also not seeing her write, which in the book, you know that she's written all of this.
Yeah.
So you're not like, you know, you're not observing through your big eyes and then writing it down later for people
your beautiful
to see.
Blue eyes.
Yeah, she does have where she's drawing the map on the handkerchief to get to the father.
But that gets burned.
The guards take it and burn it. Well, in the book, the dad turns out not to have been dead, but in the film, he just is dead.
And they confirm all the stuff about the dad and like reveal that they had been taken prisoner because he had helped family members and others in the movie. I don't remember if it was others in the book as well, escape. Mm-hmm. And they confirmed that by having Kretsky like give the mom the file.
Yeah.
And then right before the mom died, she was like, she told Lena, like, your father died, like, tell Jonas when the time is right.
Mm-hmm. So, and this was a bit of something that wasn't directly from the book, but I think is a great, honest interpretation of the book, which is in Lithuania on the night that they are turned out of their homes and put on the train, Lena gets a letter from the admissions of this art college. Mm-hmm. And she's like, I'm saving it until dad gets home.
And everyone was bitching while we were watching the movie that she saved it for when the mother was died. And she's like, Mom, I have this. Like, let's open this together. Mm-hmm. Saying it was unrealistic. I don't care. It's a movie. It was a beautiful moment in the movie. I do not care if it was unrealistic that the letter would have survived that long.
Yeah, but you and I read that book. And so when she was like, I'll wait to open this until dad gets home, we were like, she's never going to see him again,
I know,
is she?
Devastating.
Yeah. So she saved it, like, when the mother is, like, drawing her, like, dying breath. Mm-hmm. She opens the letter. And I'll give credit to the actress who plays Lena, because she did such a good job in this. And it's, like, she lets herself she's accepted into the art college. And she lets herself have the joy of that moment, even though it's, like, all completely gone.
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't, I don't know. It was a very nice, gentle moment.
I think the actress, she wasn't given a lot, but I think she did a phenomenal job.
Yeah, well, she could have done more. It was
it
wasn't her fault.
It was weird that she didn't have more lines.
I know.
But let's talk about some of the other changes primarily focused with Andreas.
Yes.
So they separate when Lena and her brother go to the other camp.
Yes.
We do not find out what happens to him after. If we're going off the interpretation of the book and applying that to the interpretation of the movie, then they wind up happily married and safe. So I like to think that is what happens in the movie as well. However, they write his mother out in the movie.
Yes. So a lot of his storylines as a result don't translate over. Mm-hmm. I do think when they were writing the script for the film, they were just like, we can't dedicate a lot of time to him.
I think it also hit with, they were targeting the same audience as The Book Thief, which is, that YA, but also a little bit younger. Mm-hmm. And I don't think they felt that could translate well with the mother being a prostitute.
No, I think that would be hard to portray. So that's not present. But also the brother getting scurvy and Andrea stealing him the can of tomatoes is not present
The entire time I was like, where the hell is the scurvy?
No scurvy.
No scurvy.
Just general other illness.
Yes, just being unwell.
Yeah. He does, however, kiss her on her birthday and then bring her the book in Russian.
The notes.
With the notes
which
in
is really cute.
Yeah, so I'm glad they kept that because it was a minor change or a minor thing to keep, but it kept you rooted to that character after they went to Siberia and he didn't go with them.
Yeah, and they lost a lot of like enemies to crush more than enemies to lovers. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't think there was enough else going on in the movie. I really don't think they needed it. I know that wasn't your like top tier part of the book anyway.
No. Well, like we said, they're taking the general feeling and overall plot of the book. They lost some of the smaller things, and for the most part, I think that was smart.
They spent a lot of time on the baby in the beginning. The baby that died on the train, which was also in the book. The mother taken right out of the hospital. The baby died.
The mother talked a lot.
Yeah.
And she just said my baby over and over. But she
had a lot of screen time.
She had a lot.
She had a lot of screen time. I thought that plot was going to move a lot faster. Mm-hmm. But actually, like, a good bit of the movie was, like, the train part.
Yeah.
Which was an interest. And I get it's to show, the length of the journey, but also the length of the overall time of the book's plot.
It was, like, 2 years.
It was an interesting place for the movie to spend a lot of time.
Yeah, especially because it's not In the book, you're building up the relationships with all of the other random people on the train because those are the people that they're going to be imprisoned with for years. But you don't really have the sense of the community in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have all the other people, and you do have a few moments where, like, Lena is working next to another woman, and they're cutting the tops off of beets.
Mm-hmm.
And she sees the woman take the tops to keep to eat them. And Lena then knows that she can do that.
Yeah.
So you have these few moments, and you have the moment of when they bring them all into the room and say, you need to sign this confession and we sentence you to 25 years. And you see them coming forward, like, one by one, many of them to sign.
And now that you bring it up, this is actually not something I thought about, really, the community aspect. So thank you for bringing this up, because this was something we had talked about with the book, how, you know, not all the characters were named, but you knew who it was.
They were all indelible.
Who the grouchy guy was. You knew who the teacher was. Like, it was very clear. But this one, the background characters were just kind of background characters.
Yeah, they weren't fleshed out. It was very much about the immediate family and sometimes Andreas. And frankly, even Andreas more than the brother, to be honest. The little brother, once he doesn't get scurvy, he's not doing that much.
The funniest part was when, okay, not funny, but you know what I mean. When they were getting split up to go to, you know, Siberia, and Andreas is like, watch out for Jonas. Like, he's not Lena's brother.
I was like, she has more reason to watch out for him than you do.
Yeah, that was funny. That was funny. And I'm like, I understand it's sweet, but like, come on.
Yeah. It's not like you saw him that much.
Is there any other points you want to hit on with this movie before we kind of talk about it overall?
I did look it up. This is the highest grossing film of all time in Lithuania.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome that it is getting the story out there more broadly. Yeah, and hopefully encouraging people to get the book.
So clearly, yeah, this is something that they want the story to be told, and it needs to be told by, and not to detract from her, but by more people than just by Ruta Sepetys. Like, obviously, she's done an amazing job and she's paving the way, but this is the type of story that should be bigger than one person.
And you can get, like, some bigger actors and actresses in there too, which always helps amplify anything.
Yeah. So another film on this topic, or another book on this topic getting really big, would be fantastic.
Yeah, and I would love to see that.
Yeah.
I would love to read more on this topic. I think overall, much like Catherine Called Birdie, I gave this 4 stars on Letterboxd for different reasons. Catherine Called Birdie was enjoyable to watch. This was more of an impactful movie. However, my Letterboxd review, the movie was good, the book was better.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't have Letterboxd, but I also would probably give this 4 stars.
You really should make Letterboxd just for this purpose.
I guess
for when we make our spin-off movie podcast.
For only pod things.
Exactly.
Where we'll watch Johnny Tremaine 1950 and then all of Snowflower again.
All of 7 Little Australians.
Oh my god.
Spoiler, that was a contender for bonus episodes, was if I could track down a YouTube, you know, slime tutorial of the musical, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't pull that off for us, of 7 Little Australians.
Well, same for Magic Treehouse.
Yeah, we did try. We had some fun potentials for this season's bonus, but it just, you know, if anyone knows of a stage production of the Magic Treehouse or 7 Little Australians coming to the DMV, or frankly, even up into like Pennsylvania, anytime soon.
Any of the states that touch the DMV.
Exactly. We'll go there.
I will say, we're bringing it back around next week for our last bonus episode of the season to our most fun one yet. We're going back to lighthearted for, frankly, the wackiest thing that we could possibly be doing.
Yes, and we are watching select episodes of the, I wouldn't even say made for TV, made for school projector viewing episodes of The Royal Diaries and Dear America. And we are watching 2 that are affiliated with the books we have read this season.
Yes. So they're each like 25-minute films. One is based on Cleopatra, and one is based on the Irish Mill Girl.
And we have a lot to say.
Yeah, they were wild and extremely different. So in the meantime,
you can follow us on social media if you would like some lighthearted content after going and watching Ashes in the Snow, because I would recommend you watch it.
Yes. Oh, where can people watch these things?
Oh, Amazon Prime. Actually, all 4 of the things we view for our bonus episodes this time is Amazon Prime. So we're thankfully moving away from Apple TV.
Thank God for that. And Amazon Prime isn't even that good.
No, it gave us the worst commercial breaks in the world. Oh my god, we didn't even talk. Ashes in the Snow had some horrendous commercial placements.
And it's not even that they were frequent, because there weren't that many. They were not good.
No, they were just timed very, and I'm sure it was just like the app doesn't automate it.
Oh yeah.
But it was just horrendous.
Oh yeah. It was not good. Was there one right at the end, right after Kretzky killed himself?
It immediately went to a commercial.
Immediate smash cut to a commercial. I think, honestly, for prep. Like the medicine.
Yeah. Oh, it was insane.
Yeah.
It set a very weird tone there.
At the very least on Apple TV, you don't have that, even though I don't like it.
Even though we don't know how to access Apple TV. But anyways, we know what you can access, and that is our social media accounts at 5orFlop_pod on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok.
And in big news, at this time, our Storygraph Season 4 Reading Challenge is live.
Yes. And so with that, I think we can officially announce our theme, or you can just guess the theme from the books.
Well, why don't we give a hint and reveal next week?
Well, okay. Do you have a hint? Are you prepared?
We're each reading one of the books. Should we say what they are? Should we give a hint about what they are?
We can say what they are.
Okay. Mine features friend of the pod, Jonathan Bailey.
Close, intimate friend of the pod.
In its recent TV adaptation, which is Fellow Travelers.
And where can you... is that an Apple TV?
You know what? I watched that whole thing, and I don't remember. I remember we lost access to it briefly in the middle of the season.
Devastating.
I think it's on, like, Showtime or something stupid. Sorry to them.
And I am back on my audiobook game. And I am listening to Gwen and Art Are Not in Love, which is kind of like it's another one that's a little bit of a stretch for us to call it historical fiction.
But we're making it happen.
It's set in like medieval-ish England, but also like
just
King
like Catherine
Arthur
Colberti.
was real, maybe. I'm having fun. I'm excited to talk about the books. So
those two books are very demographically different, but they do have one thing linking them, and that is our theme.
And our listeners are definitely smart enough to take a single glance at the list and probably put that theme together.
Yes. So if you don't want to be spoiled, then don't go on Storygraph until next week when we'll give you the reveal. But if you're too tempted, you can go on Storygraph right now and join the reading challenge.
You can also feel free to email us at 5orFlopPodcast@gmail.com to ask us about the theme, to send any thoughts on what it might be. Maybe we'll send a prize. We absolutely won't send a prize, but maybe.
If you send an email, we will answer it, though.
We will, we promise.
So, and you can also fill out the recommendation form in the bios of any of our social medias. One last thing before we go about the reading challenge. My goal for this season is to have more participants in the reading challenge than we did for season 3.
What? I think we had hang on.
There were 4.
Okay, one season we had 7 though.
Season 2 we had 7.
Okay.
So I think we can get back up there. I completely understand why people don't want to read 40 randomly chosen children's books.
Season 3 was interesting because it had very, very low read-along participation, but very high listen rates per episode.
Because everyone loves nostalgia.
Exactly. So it's been a mixed bag this season. But anyways, we're not done with it yet. We haven't beat the horse to death quite yet.
Anyway, we'll see you next week for the big reveal. And in the meantime,
happy stalking us on Storygraph.
Bye.